This seminar, we're going to be discussing how direct shippers operate differently from brokers, expectations and workflows. Um, a little bit about me. I'm passionate about trucking. I work with carriers and trucking companies every single day. I love helping trucking companies with process improvement and of course, landing direct shippers and helping them land direct shippers and giving them the tools. What shippers expect from other carriers, right? What they expect is competitive and fair rates. You need to know your market, right? Reliability, um, and providing updates without them having to ask you, and giving them visibility to loads, kind of like the old, UPS, FedEx, Amazon style of freight. Specialized knowledge, expertise in a niche market. So for those of you with heavy haul or certain niches within the freight market, you want to, of course, exploit those. Let them know that this is what you're about. Establishing, long-term relationships. These people do want relationships. It's very frustrating for a lot of shippers to not know who's going to show up at their door or when, right? And that's a definite advantage for you. And then of course, technology to make their life simple, making it easier for freight, making everything visible. All these things are extremely important and what are expected from a modern shipper. What do brokers expect from carriers? Well, lowest rates, right? 24/7, or rate penalties if your driver loses signal. All these, it's a very transactional relationship, right? Very high expectation. It's amazing how on the broker side that they'll make you, log into, their tool to help give them visibility, right? But yet they're going to call you every 5 minutes, even though they can see where you're at, right? There's definitely a disconnect there. So how do you find direct shippers? Well, the fastest way really is to knock on doors. There's a lot of technology out there. What you're seeing here are where most of our carriers are at, right? We're dealing with brokers and load boards, right? And what we looked at, okay, what are the freight brokers doing and what can we do differently? And one of the ones we want to focus on today is knocking on doors, right? What's the best way? So, why are carriers afraid to knock on doors, right? Lack of resources and training, limited sales knowledge, right? This is not something that we do all day. It's not normal to find your own direct shippers, right? It's just something that we haven't really done and something that, we should be trying to master. For some of us, it's a language barrier, or fear of rejection, right? And I don't mean language like Spanish to English or, that this kind of thing. What I mean by is sometimes we don't speak the direct shipper's language, right? We're not talking about the things that interest them. So that is a huge fear. And where do you start, right? What's the path, right? How do we do this? And then of course, the broker dependency. We are, DAT and these load boards, they do make it easy. The problem is when we're making 3 to 5% margin and those brokers are making 15%, right? It's just not adequate. It's not equal, right? And that's a big problem when we're trying to maintain our own fleets and trying to have profitability. So our customers, most of our customers are scared to do this. So our CEO actually won out yesterday and it turns out to be not so scary. I'm going to play a quick video. Hopefully everybody can hear. I'm going to crank this up as high as I can. No volume. Hang on one second. I'm going to take off my headphones here and see if we can all hear this. Hang on one second here, guys.
Can everybody hear me? If we can get a thumbs up. I just want to see if we can get this audio going so you can hear this conversation. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, I'm going to try this again.
All right, we're approaching the loading dock.
Give me 1 second here. Let me get this off of my headphones.
Let's see if we
can you hear?
Hey, how's it going? Good, good. Are you the logistic manager here? No, he's not here. Oh, he's not here. I see. So we're a local trucking platform. Wanted to see how you guys find trucks. Do you guys arrange trucks yourself, or how do you guys find trucks? No, we don't actually arrange trucks. Oh, so how do you guys get stuff into your warehouse and out of the warehouse? We get it shipped to us. Oh, do you know what kind of trucking company you guys use right now? I don't actually. She's the one in charge. Oh, your boss is in charge. Yeah. Do you know if there's a card we can potentially talk to your boss? Is that her card? Well, this is the guy. This is the manager, right? The warehouse manager. I see. I don't know if you just pulled up right now. I see. I don't see anybody in there. All right, awesome. What's your name? Danny?
Awesome, awesome. Let me go to the next page here, and let's see here. This is the second warehouse they knocked on yesterday. I'll go ahead and play this one.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, good, good. We're your neighbor down the street, and we're a trucking platform. Wanted to see, I see a lot of trucks coming in and out. Yeah. Do you know how you guys currently find trucks to move your stuff around?
We have our own trucks.
You have your own trucks?
Yeah, so we have 2 separate companies owned by the same guys.
Okay.
And we have each truck.
Oh, I see, I see.
Yes.
Do you guys ever run out of your, use outside equipment for maybe long haul movements?
We use other owner operators.
I see. And so do you guys ever work with other trucking companies? If we want to work with you guys on some needs, maybe providing some quotes, is that a possibility?
Possibly, I could ask the owner to come out.
Oh, that would be awesome. Thank you so much. What's your name?
I'm Heather.
Heather.
What company?
I work with a company called Truckpedia.
All right. So after this, we didn't have a recording of it, but he was offered to quote on 2 flatbed loads. And Justin, if you want to kind of pipe in a little bit here, this was you yesterday.
Yeah, that was literally from yesterday afternoon around 3 p.m. Pacific time on a Friday. Probably the worst time to knock on doors, but to prepare for the seminar, I actually wanted to go knock on doors. Something I did back in 2018, 2019, and I wanted to see how if anything changed. So the owner actually wasn't there. They sent their office managers come out, had a conversation, really nice conversation. He didn't feel comfortable being recorded, so we didn't record that part. During the conversation, he mentioned that their own trucks don't cover everything. They still give a portion of the loads out. And in 2 lanes, flatbed. If anyone here runs flatbed out of Commerce, California, I can actually connect you guys to them. Just really nice conversation. He came out, introduced myself, and it seems like not a lot of people knock on his doors. If there was, I'm sure he wouldn't walk out. And if there were enough people soliciting for business, Heather wouldn't tell me, let me see if the owner has the time to talk to you on a Friday at 3 p.m. So a couple, I just approached them. Hey, I'm your neighbor. I'm a couple of cities away, but yeah, what do you guys do here? I see a lot of trucks going in now, and they offer, the operation manager said they do a lot of flatbed stuff, moving from Commerce, California to Phoenix, moving from Commerce, California to Vegas. There were a lot of trucks that were waiting to check in for pickup. So I spoke to a few drivers, spent some time in the area, and this is a quote that they're looking for from Commerce, Phoenix, Commerce to Vegas. Really knocking on doors. Just the 2 videos you guys seen so far. I map out about 18 warehouses. Nobody was mean to me. Nobody was like, get out of here, I don't want to talk to you. Right? So they were actually very friendly. I see Samantha raised her hand. Go for it.
I didn't mean to. I was trying to find the chat to say,
Wow, no worries,
to
you're
say
good.
that
Here's what I'll do.
I do have a flatbed that goes from one place to the other.
Are
So
you where you out of?
I'm based out of Wilmington, Delaware.
Delaware. Okay, so it's on the other opposite side. So I'm assuming you don't run too much to Southern California. If you are, if you're interested, I can
Yeah, I
connect.
didn't like mean to interrupt. I was really just
Not at all. Not at all. You're good. You're good. I thought someone got excited. That sign me up. I got trucks.
right.
So yeah, so just a quick recap of from yesterday. It's like not just lots of friendly people, just like we are, and very genuine people. A lot of people knocking on the door. There's a video we're going to play. It's a shipper who agreed to be on camera, and he shared his experience directly from his own perspective. After I told him that, hey, I'm recording content. I'm trying to show truckers how to knock on doors, and truckers are scared to talk to shipping managers. So it is okay if I record you briefly to share about your experience. So one person actually said, yes, I would love to share. I wouldn't mind to do that. There's one video, Henry, if you can go to the next one. I think it's the next one. Yep, this is the one. Alex, you can play this one. If you don't mind, start from beginning again, and can you pump up your volume?
It's as high as it's going.
I see.
I don't know why I can't get it any higher.
Oh wow, 3 years. Got it. Got it. Wow. Do trucking companies open it up to introduce themselves?
They do.
They
They
do?
try to come in and then, same thing like you're coming in.
Yeah.
Tell us what, we're offering these rates and
Yeah.
this is your local
Yeah.
person stuff.
Yeah.
Not everyone will
Follows
give
through.
you good rates.
Oh, never gonna give you the rates.
Because honestly, I'm a go.
Yeah.
Your rate.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Absolutely.
I think my main focus is making sure it's an easy process for you. So like you guys have, like I said,
Portal. Yeah.
much easier,
Awesome.
much faster, more convenient.
Awesome.
I don't have to deal with the whole guys. So it's the email.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that video was hard to hear a little bit. What Alex mentioned was a couple of things. He said people do knock on his door. And then from a later conversation, I found out it turned out to be a lot of brokers. And he specifically mentioned a company like Priority One would knock on his door, and then they would give him really high quotes. He's like, my current option is better. Right? It makes sense. Everybody wants to have fair and good rates. He's been busy for about 20 years in that warehouse and still a very friendly guy. As I approached him, Rich is a very friendly guy. Walk over from his computer, had about like a 10-15 minute conversation with him, and he mentioned a few other things. He loved working with LTL carriers because he doesn't need to talk to anyone. He can just simply go on their website and just a portal, in his own words, to pull up quotes, how much they charge, and he compare them. And then he will book the one that he likes to work with. Some of them he knows pay lower price, like Roadrunner. He paid lower price, but they may not be as reliable. Some companies may charge a little more, but he knows for sure they're reliable, right? He was not eliminating anybody out of the games. Depends on the customer, depends on how urgent the product needs to be shipped. He would pick his carrier. And he deals with a lot of brokers that he moved with, right? He mentioned brokers have high rates. Any trucking company approach him, the rates will be more than fair if you mark up by 10% higher than what you're getting right now. He runs from Commerce, California to Texas, Commerce, California to, I think, Florida, a few other places too. They ship quite a bit out of the warehouse. So briefly, he mentions portal technology make my life easy. I don't want to chase you for update. I want it to be easy, giving me that update. I'm not going to look at it all the time, but if I do need to look at the shipment, it's my fingertip. I can just go through this and see where it's at, rather than having to make phone calls, find out the email a person, and request for that. So that was a bit of perspective from Alex. We do have those on YouTube. For those of you who want to see higher volume in your own time, you can find that later after we share it. Thank you, Harry, for sharing that part. And the flow to knock on doors, you may ask me, how did I figure out the flow to knock on doors? This is something I struggled when I used to run a trucking company back then. By the way, I scaled a trucking company from 3 to 50, and a lot of my early day customers came from knocking on doors in my neighborhood, exactly the way how I did it in that video, which is never recorded. Right? I will map out the area that I want to target. In this case, I chose commerce because I wanted to pick up a body camera or a glasses camera that can record content. I picked up from the Citadel Mall, and I went straight to knock on door in that area. I map out 10 warehouses in the area and just on Google one by one in that order. And we use our own database, Truckpedia database. I know there isn't really any out there for people to find shippers. We use our own database, put in Commerce, California, and ranked it and picked out, map out 10 warehouses, and I allocated 3 hours from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. I stopped around 4:30 because people got tired of me knocking on the door. I didn't prepare any scripts. I test out different script. Sometimes I tell them from Truckpedia trucking platform. A lot of them may not know what a TMS is and don't have time to know. They don't care. Sometimes I tell them my trucking platform. Sometimes I tell them my trucking company. I represent my customers, knock on doors, asking for the info. No one has turned me away. And from that 8 warehouses we knocked on. And a lot of times we look at what doors are open, which loading docks are open, which is straight approach to the loading dock, just like the first video you saw. Approach to the back of the warehouse, often run into the warehouse workers. Very friendly. A lot of them say, "Hey, come on in. Let me talk to you. Let me show you. Let me have you talk to our owner or top person in charge." One lady was so excited, it turned into a 30-minute conference call, 20 to 30-minute conference call in her office. On the same day, we signed her office. She talked about how unsatisfied she is with her current provider, and she's looking for a more reliable, we can offer local service, right? And when I came back, what I did was, if you don't have a good routine of keeping the notes of what they tell you, it's a waste of your time to knock on doors. A lot of them are in the follow-up. So what makes that important is having a CRM to task yourself. They tell you to call them back in 2 weeks, check with them, send an email, put it down in your CRM, keep track of it, right? So those processes, I used to do them manually until we built out Truckpedia to keep them all in one place, right? So that's the process. Map out your target shippers, and as you drive through, if you see open loading docks, trucks coming in and out, add them to your list as you're going in real time. Just knock on the door, talk to them, see what they tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. And if those of you don't know what a CRM is, it's a customer relationship management system. Basically, it's a digital Rolodex is going to keep all your clients and all your information so that you can see who you've been talking to and who you need to talk to. So just to give you a heads up on that. Let's move on to the next one right here. This is a quick video on how Justin prepared for his visit yesterday. So this was filmed yesterday, and hopefully you guys can hear it.
Start knocking, introducing ourselves, and see if any shippers would want to work with us.
Awesome. So what Justin was using here is just using our tool, the Truckpedia Lead Finder that has 2 million direct shipper leads. And he was just mapping out an area and then going on to Google, making sure he had a good flow. And then, of course, they went out and live and started knocking on doors. So
I'm sorry, we couldn't hear that at all.
Uh-oh.
Apologies, Lisa. We'll send the
Okay.
we'll send the links to you afterwards so you can watch it in your own time with all
Okay.
the whole process. And then just because we haven't, I had a lot of raw recordings, our team haven't had a chance to put it all together yet. So there are more snippets of more customers that we spoke to. This is just kind of like a preview. So we'll put together the whole video of the whole process from 0 to 1, how we did it.
Awesome. And sorry you couldn't hear that, but basically what like I said, that's what they were getting ready to do, is go out and look at these direct shippers and just using some of these tools, of course, to go out and do so. So another area that's really important, and we stress this a lot, especially from our end, is understanding the market, right? None of us like the market. The market's typically awful, right? But having a tool that lets you know where your floor is and where your ceiling is when quoting is really, really important. especially when you're going after a direct shipper, right? These guys have been dealing with brokers and everything else, and they kind of know where freight's at, right? And the worst thing to do is actually have a conversation and be too low or too high. Being too low, you're leaving money on the table, right? It's great that you got a client, but you don't want to be below market, right? And being too high, a lot of times they'll fluff you off, right? So kind of finding that in between is really important. So one of the tools that we supply with Truckpedia is a rate tool, okay? So let's say we're looking at that Los Angeles rate to Dallas, Texas. So what this is doing is looking at the real-time rate. Now, this is assuming you can get this load, but the load is currently trading at almost $4,000, right? And what you're seeing here is data comprised of the main load boards and some of the main brokerages, right? It's compiling the data and it's showing you exactly where the pricing's at, right? So now you kind of know where the floor is. And you can also see how this has steadily gotten a little higher as the month progressed. So, when you're talking to somebody, understanding that, 15% above this is typically where the brokers are at, feeling comfortable, like Justin said, saying 10% above what you're getting, you're still going to land that conversation, right? Saying $4,400 is not going to chase them out the door. Matter of fact, it's going to tell them a few things. It's going to show them, one, that you understand the market, right? And two, that you can always beat the broker's prices, right? So having some kind of tool like this to be able to show you where the market's at and where you should be is really important, right? And again, nobody wants to be where the market's at. The market's been rough since 2021. Hopefully all signs are saying it's going to improve, but, we shall see. But, again, understanding your market and knowing what to quote is equally important.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shippers, first thing they're going to ask is, what's your rate, right? They don't care how long you've been in business. I mean, the bigger they are, of course they do. But initially, they're not going to. The moment you say, hey, I'm your neighbor, I'm just a few blocks away from you. Oh, okay. That trust is there. Versus broker trying to go through highway, go through everything to vet you first. You have no inspection, not going to work with you, right? So that does not exist with any of the shippers. So having those tools ready, knowing if it's a market you run daily, you know exactly what you're getting paid on a spot market. But in some area you don't run very often, Green Screen, that data came from our partner Green Screens. Their platform entirely just aggregating lane data. They provide that to trucking companies of Truckpedia for free, so you can use that to kind of see where the market is. I personally compare that rates to DAT rates compared to Sonar, compared to a few other ones. By far, I've gotten pretty accurate rate from there than anywhere else, and they just give you a 30-day overview of where the market is moving.
Yeah, and these are tools that brokers are using. One of the things is you need to, if you're trying to go after direct shippers, your competition's really other brokers. So, and if you want to beat them at their game, you need to know how the game is played, right? So having these kind of tools are really important. The next area we're going to talk about is building a website and why that's important. Okay. The reason why that's important is if somebody has interest in you, I bet you if I asked everybody here in chat, within 3 seconds, you guys can type your MC numbers in here, right? Like your social security number off the top of your, off the top of your head, right? And the reason why we know this is when we're talking to a broker, the first thing out of their mouth is, what's your MC, right? And like Justin said, they're going through RMIS, highway, all of these Carrier 411 to evaluate you, right? To make money off of you. Now, when you talk to a direct shipper, of course, the first thing out of their mouth is, what's your price? Now, if they're interested in you, what are they going to do next? They don't have those tools. So they're going to Google you. If you have no presence online, that is a credibility problem. You don't want that. So making sure that you have a nice, clear website, of course, that speaks to your customer. When you think of your website, don't think about you. We don't want to sit here and beat our chest saying, hey, we're the best. We do all this stuff. Do we want to list this? Yes. Oh, thanks, Samantha. We'll take a look at your website. But you want to talk about what's in it for them, right? It's not what's in it for us. This is all about what the customer needs, right? So that's why the second area is having a tool that can offer an instant quote, right? Or an instant rate. Really important, because again, when you're going after clients with a sea of brokers, right, they have a lot of these tools. And what we want to do is show them that we're different. Having a tool like that is sharing a bunch of information. One, it's showing you that you're transparent. That's a big deal when these shippers are looking to make a change from a brokerage or add you as a carrier, right? The second thing is understanding the market, right? You're going to clearly show them that you understand the market. The third thing is you're going to beat the broker's price. Not by much, but you're going to be in that ballpark. So why not work directly, make life easier on yourself, right? And be cheaper than the broker, right? That's a huge thing. So all of these things are really powerful ways as you start talking to a direct shipper, right? For them to come back and see all of this, or if you start marketing to them. And then thirdly is identify and reach out to shippers through different channels, email marketing, knocking on doors, going to conferences, right? LinkedIn, Facebook. There's so many avenues, right? These are all the avenues that your brokers are using, right? I'm not saying you have to do each one, but these are things that you want to start doing if you are really serious about going after direct shippers and improving your profitability. Okay. So ideal shipper profile, right? Justin, if you wouldn't mind going through this a little bit, I know you love this part. I love it too, but
yeah. So one of the things I actually spoke to, I'm not sure if he's on the call right now. Earlier this morning, I spoke to a gentleman who wanted to learn more about Truckpedia. 5 trucks currently leasing under a different owner operator, leasing under a different company because his MC isn't 6 months old yet. Most brokers wouldn't work with them. And that's why he leased under them, but also he wanted to grow. So he got pretty fast. 3 months got to like 5 trucks. However, the issue was that, hey, I want to go after direct shippers. I was okay, great, that's amazing. What are you going to do about it? Well, I'm going to find direct shippers through your platform or find other tools to make it happen. So what do? 5 trucks. I got 2 drive-ins, 2 reefers, and then 1 power only. I can handle anything, everything. And I was okay. Do you happen to run 48 states as well? He said, yeah, I run 48 states. I can cover the entire U.S. I was like, well, see, that's exactly where the problem is. Even let's say you land a shipper calls you in your neighborhood, a few blocks away from you. They ask you for a truck, and you go, oh, oops, my truck's on the road, never home. Okay, they say, oh, that's fine, you're not available, you're a small company, and they call you again. A week later, you're not available. They call you again, you're not available. They're gonna give up on you. You're not gonna give up on you because you're doing everything, but you're not mastering anything. You cannot be everything to everybody at the same time, which is why this ideal shipper profile become really important. If you're doing drive-in and reefer at the same time, your customer profile are completely different. They hang out at different spots. They go to different conferences. They have different pain points. But when you're small, even running local in your area, you can find a lot of people, right? What commodity are they hauling? And then I can focus on different things, right? Focus on, hey, flatbed, right? Where do they do? Where do they go? Where do they hang out? What interests do they have, right? What challenge are they currently looking to solve, right? What and then right from the video, the 3 clips that we share, everybody share the same pain point. The challenge is getting quotes, getting affordable quotes. They're getting quotes from brokers, and brokers like to keep their margins high, so they're not going to get that competitive quotes, right? The thing I find in common with them is they don't have competitive quotes right now. How do they currently find trucks? Well, they mentioned they work with owner operators, they work with brokers, and although they say people knock on the door, and if you dive deep into it, you realize that most people knocking on the door are not trucking companies or brokers knocking on their doors, right? So those are their pain points. Now, if we have a very specialized target, and originally when I was in trucking, I haul medical equipment. I map out all the medical equipment warehouse near me. I go knock on every single door. I got to know their name, get to know them. Hey, who do you guys currently work with? Not a good time right now. I'll come back again, right? Because I know exactly their pain points. Every single one of those people, they want high cargo insurance, 250K. Their stuff is more costly. If you break it, if you don't deliver on time, they care about what they look like in front of their customers. If they hire a trucking company, they care about their image. We as a trucking company, we represent them when we deliver stuff to their customers' warehouses, right? How our drivers behave, how our drivers professionally deliver stuff matter to them. So kind of like looking at that part. Second, additionally, the professional goes, right? That's very different. First person, Danny, he works in a warehouse. He drives a forklift. He has a complete different professional goal compared to everybody else. To him, oh, I'm just wrapping pallets, making sure things are stacked well. If people ask me for help, there's no motive for me. I don't even know what, but I want to connect you, help you out, right? People often at the warehouse are the one that are very lucky to help people out. And then versus Heather, Heather's same thing. Heather and Danny play a very similar professional goal, just want to do their job. And versus Alex, the one in the office, his goal is very different. He wants to find the most affordable quotes, most reliable carriers to build a relationship with, right? So we is as a trucking company, we're the consultant, we're the professional. How can we figure out their wants to make sure we can provide service and help for them, right? Not afraid to talk to them, but how can we provide value for them? If I see Danny a couple more times, next time I go, I may bring him some donuts, some snacks to appreciate him if I'm in the area, right? Same as Heather. Say, hey, here's a box of donuts. Thank you for connecting me. To him, it will make them happy. For Alex, probably something different. I might invite Alex to a Lakers game. If I find out he likes that, I might invite Alex to a Lakers game. Hey, let's go watch some basketball game. I love to get to know you. Alex, from the conversation, he went to Cabo. He was wearing a shirt from Cabo. I actually talked about Cabo and traveling to Cabo, Cancun, Mexico. He loves going those places for fun. And his baseball team, talking about those similar hobbies, and next time send him an invite, hey, let's go grab a beer, let's go watch a game, let's go do this together, right? So by doing those things, identifying those people, it makes our job much easier to see where they're at, how can we help them achieve their goal, right? Finding those patterns, finding the similarities between those people will make your journey a lot easier on landing those shippers.
Yeah.
It's a relationship game at the end of the day. Lisa, I'm not sure if it was your hands up by accident or if you have a question.
And you're on mute too if you're speaking. All right. Well, we'll come back to Lisa if she has a question. But a lot of this ideal shipper profile is kind of like the preparation, right? You're preparing. You're preparing yourself going out. You're looking at the company. You're going to go on their website, right? Spend 20, 30 minutes. Isn't it soliciting? Of course it is.
Absolutely.
Of course it is.
It's soliciting. Business is soliciting, right? Every time we want to make a deal, it's us soliciting for business, for what they have. Often, some people might tell you, "Hey, we don't want you here. You can't be." There's a sign right here on the door. I've been kicked out before. Hey, I'm sorry. We get too many of those people knocking on the door. I need to do my job. You need to go. In that case, all right, thank you. Being polite. Move on to the next one.
Yeah, the other thing too is, I don't know if you noticed one theme, but Justin did not walk through the front door, right? The front door is gatekeepers, right? That's what that desk is there for. He walked in the back door. Go ahead, Justin.
Exactly. If you're walking the front door, the front desk people, they were hired to be gatekeepers. They get paid to gatekeep people out from coming in, right? So to them, hey, I'm sorry, there's no solicit right here. You gotta leave. But when you go back, everybody, I know you couldn't hear the audio, but you saw how helpful Danny was. Danny was extremely friendly, trying to help me out. It's oh yeah, the owner of the car, is he in there? Oh crap, he's not there right now. Come around. I actually sat down in the office for 5 minutes. Danny went to look for people, and people were just out for lunch, right? So Danny was very helpful, trying to help me out to get to the right person to talk to.
So another form is running email campaigns. Okay. So in looking at, if you're going to go with a tool with something like ours, or go with maybe a third party that's not ours, the biggest thing when you're trying to run a campaign is okay, what do I say, right? What's going to solicit? What's going to get the attention of that direct shipper? What's going to move that direct shipper away from the broker or carriers that they're currently using, right? So a lot of what we're trying to do is, okay, what's the message, right? The message, whenever you're writing a campaign, it's got to be short and sweet and to the point, right? And it's got to be to the audience, of course, that you are, the leads that you're trying to go after, right? So those two definitely need to match. These are some responses from campaigns that we've pushed for our clients. And a lot of this, when you look at any of this, right, any type of campaign, what you're trying to do is start a conversation. Without a conversation, there is no load, and that's a fact. I don't care if you're dealing with a broker. I don't care if you're dealing with anybody else, but it's all about the conversation. So what you're trying to do with all of these tools and all of these things that we're discussing today is start a conversation, right? Get their interest. Justin, do you have anything you want to?
Yeah, it's different channels, like different channels to approach shippers, right? We end of the day, knocking on doors one channel, cold calling, sending emails. So our goal is we want to expand through all different channels to drive inbound and outbound marketing. For all of you here today, us leading seminar, that's one of the channel to educate trucking companies about how they can improve and make more money for their business, so we can sell our product to trucking companies. It's part of a channel as well. We want to do those things, keep on stepping into as many channels as possible. Lisa, I see your other question about, I thought truckers were not allowed to solicit per FMCSA. I don't believe there's a rule from FMCSA or anybody prohibiting trucking company from soliciting for business. However, there are rules from freight brokers. When you sign the agreement, you cannot back solicit their shippers, right? So we're not going to their shippers on purpose, pulling out, rate confirmation, bill listing, and call their people. We're not doing that. What we're doing is we're going to our neighborhood, right? Every business needs to grow by finding their own customers. 20, 30 years ago, DAT low boards were not a thing. People were forced to land their own customers, right? They're forced to do the hard way rather than the easy way. So I don't believe there's any rule from FMCSA saying trucking companies cannot go to shippers directly for business. As a matter of fact, trucking companies don't need any permit, a brokerage permit. A lot of misunderstanding is that I need to start a brokerage company so that I can land customers. That's not the case. You can land customers without it. Brokers have an operating brokerage MC, and their insurance bond is because they don't have a operating authority. They don't have their own equipment. They by law need to be legalized before they can start facilitating transactions. Us trucking companies, we don't need any of that. As long as we're moving our own trucks, nobody's just stopping us. And especially if you're small, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to you? The worst is just a no from potential shippers. I don't want to work with you, or I don't have a need, right? So there's no certain any rules.
Yeah, and also the fundamental thing with a broker is they are physically reselling a load, right? The government wants to know, and they want their cut, right, of whatever profitability you make. They want their taxes, right? So that's why they're governed, by FMCSA rules for brokers, right? But there is absolutely nothing stopping you from going after a direct ship. There's nothing, I love it. You go to a grocery store and it says, it's no solicit, but yet you have people outside selling cookies and doing all of these things, right? It's no solicit. They don't want to be bombarded. It's basically saying, listen, tread lightly, right? But with you going in there, being polite, understanding, right, talking their language, right? Hey, are you accepting other carriers? Are you, are there any lanes, of course, that you guys are looking to fill, or are you guys having any RFPs or RFQs? So you're talking their language. Usually, you're going to get a response. Sometimes you get shushed away, right? That's okay. Now, also doing this, we've done this a few times. Justin doesn't do it often, but he did it this past summer. He does it every once in a while, going after direct shippers to prove a point. And one of the things, if you start going to do this, don't be afraid. You're going to sound like a box of marbles are coming out of your mouth the first time, and that's okay. Just be genuine, right? Most people can read through that, right? This is just a learned thing, and the other thing, is it worth it? So think of it as, if you're making 10% above what you're making right now, and you take that cost of 10% throughout the entire year, right, for all those loads, that's a massive amount of money. And, is it worth the squeeze? It absolutely is, right? A lot of the clients that I talk to are struggling 3, 5, maybe 7% in margin, right? It's tough, right? That there's not enough there, but think of getting 10% on top of that, right? Most of our customers are trying to get to that 20% profitability goal. So it's very important. Whatever you do is to start going after direct shippers. Yes. Next question.
Love those questions coming in. Keep them coming. Anybody have them, feel free to unmute yourself or just type in the chat. We need to use business email address rather than personal email for marketing, or is that opposite? Absolutely, business email addresses. You cannot use your personal for a couple of reasons. The most important one, everyone will tell you, is because for professionalism, it's not. It's for deliverability, right? It's deliverability. If you go to your spam folders, every single one of you, you see a lot of emails didn't make it to the inbox. And if you use your personal email, it's not for sure not going to land in a lot of people's inboxes if you're doing that at scale. If you want to reach if you want to reach 50 people, sure, personal email is fine. But if you're planning to send like 500 emails, 1,000 emails every few days, a business email for sure need to be set up properly and need to be trained. And also, we have seen people, if you have, let's say your company is called let's use one example, navigox.com, Samantha's company. If you use, Samantha at navigox.com, if you send that email for cold email purposes, if you send it for 3 months straight, you send 500 email out of an inbox every day, you send for 3 months straight, a lot of people are going to mark you as a spammer, move straight to spam. Do it for 3 months, that domain will be burnt. You'll never be able to send any email out of that. So it's great for conducting business, daily operations, but not for cold email. What should happen is buy domain as similar to what it looks like, navigox.inc.net, navigotrucking.com, navigologistic.com, right? Purchase those domains and then purchase email accounts under each of those domains. So we send it from here. In case if it gets burned, it doesn't matter. We don't use it anyway. We just delete it and get a new one in, right? So those are just burner accounts for email marketing purposes. And I personally have been burned in the past. Lesson learned the hard way. And I've tried to connect a bunch of my personal email to send out. Didn't work very well. So what ended up happening is, I gotta pay the money to get a business email account. It's a small investment for a bigger return, right? So that's kind of what happens. Truckpedia, our platform, we actually can take care of that for you. If you choose to work with us, we can actually take care of the email accounts, make sure they're delivered, set up properly for you. We ourselves at Truckpedia, most of you are probably here because email marketing or through our social media. We send out about 10,000 emails a day to market our product to different companies, right? Through email marketing, one of the channels that we use ourselves. So we're actually using our own tool, like the one you see right here, and that's for targeting shippers. But we also send out email using our own tool, targeting trucking companies to promote them about Truckpedia.
And basically what he's saying is you want to separate kind of church and state, right? You want to separate what your daily email address from your business is and what your marketing is, right? You want to separate those two just so you do not collapse your main email that functions the business, right? We have tools behind the scenes that help us bypass spam and junk files, and we monitor all of that just because we, as a company that tries to help you with marketing yourself, our job is to get into their inbox, right? Our job is to solicit a response. Our job is to have them read that email, click on your web page, right? That's really what we're trying to do is start that conversation. So, but great question. The other thing is too, it's okay using a Gmail, but I will say as a professional company, you should have your own domain that is super professional. No matter what, like there's a lot of times that brokers hate Gmails, and you can have some broker issues just on your email address alone because they don't know if sometimes they'll look you up and they get a bad feeling like you're not real, right? And to legitimize yourself is even better. So awesome. Let's move on to the next talking point here. And this is one of Justin's favorite. This is the AIDA framework. And whenever you're writing an email script, you want to have these basically a call to action, right? And what this stands for is attention, interest, desire, and action. Okay. How to write a compelling subject line, right? The attention, right? You want to be very direct. The people that you're going after, right? These direct shippers, most of them have the attention span of a gnat, right? And they're going through all these emails. So you want to have a good punchline that's going to deliver. Okay. Secondly is having engaging content, talking about understanding what their needs are. Shippers get super frustrated when every day there's people showing up to pick up loads they've never done business with. They have no idea who's going to show or when they're going to show, right? It can be very frustrating to them. And desire, using persuasive techniques to drive desire. We'll talk about those here in a second. And then, of course, action, effective call to actions, and ensuring they're gonna solicit a response, right? You're trying to get them to respond back to you, right? So that's what AIDA stands for. Email templates. Justin, I don't know if you want to go through a couple of these, the call to actions and kind of how this works. I know this is one of your favorite talking points.
Awesome. Thank you, Harry. So yeah, email marketing, end of the day, it becomes a soft skill as well. If you send out emails, hey, do you need a quote? There's no different from any other people soliciting for business. They get those probably all the time, right? Versus something creative that can trigger a want in them. One of the things you can do, for example, in this case is, in a subject line, and if I put down, seminar, teach you how to find shippers, a seminar on how to find shippers, right? You may be like, interesting, I might click on that. Say, seminar for trucking companies. You're probably nope, it's going straight to my delete inbox, not even gonna open it. Or if I put in the subject line, do you want to work with shippers? Do you want to work shippers in your area? Absolutely, I'm going to open that email, right? So we want to send things that can solicit just from the subject line a desire, a want of their interest, what they want to do. For shippers, do you work with your trucking company in your neighborhood? Something along the line like that. Do you need a quote? Along the line, whichever makes sense. Harry, let's actually go through some real examples. I think the next one have some. In this scenario, a one-liner, right? If you're a trucking company and I send this to you, you open this email, you can say yourself on the difference between this versus any regular email coming in your inbox. My email subject line on this one is, do you want to work with direct shippers in your area? And that'd be like, oh, heck yeah, what's this email about? And open it. And you see this email. And I tell you, hey, if we were able to help you find 10 prospective shippers through email marketing, would you mind if I send over a 5-step guide of how it works? I'm not asking you for anything. I'm not asking you to hop on a call. I'm not asking you to buy anything from me. I'm just asking if I can send you some resources of something that you truly desire, you want. You're probably like, oh, heck yeah. People are probably, yes. So, and then I send over a 5-step guide. Step 1, right? Pretty much what we talk about on this seminar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, does this sound interesting to you? Do you think this will work for you? But yeah, probably. Is it time now to make a call, to hop on a call? Absolutely, right? We want to warm them up, get them comfortable so that they talk to us, right? So this is one way how I often start conversation is through this, one of the ways. Can you go to the next one, Harry? Yeah, so the second example is for shippers, I actually talk about this all the time with them when we meet up in person. I will ask them, have you thought about what will happen to your business if you keep working with brokers and not adding carriers to the mix, right? Do you remember what happened during COVID when trucking rates skyrocketed? It's actually coming back again. What's not, just out of curiosity, what's stopping you from working with several trucking companies in the area, right? And then you get them start thinking, they start answering you, oh, this is actually interesting. Let me explain why. I never thought about that. You're right. I probably should have more trucking companies in our network that we work with, right? So stuff like that. Can I share something with you? Soft ask to get them to reply. Once they reply, and build that trust to keep on having that hard ask is like, can I stop by your warehouse? Can I do this and that, right? And then the way how we do that is when we send emails, we want to have a tool, maybe like a website, right? Hey, here's my website, link it. You can get a quote from my portal instantly, right? You can get a portal for quotes instantly from our website. Here's what we do. Here's what we are. Just a little description after they click on it, after they pick their interest to get to know who we are.
Yeah, and this is a very powerful tool too. This is showing you're transparent. This is one thing that a broker would never, very, very rarely will do. And I'm not throwing stones at brokers here, but their job is not to be transparent. Their job is to get a customer and then resell that load, right? And what you're showing, you're just showing this transparency, this level of transparency they just don't see, right? So it's very intriguing for them to go through and start putting in a few lanes and getting prices, right? It's definitely a powerful way to start a conversation. And so common objections faced by small carriers. So I want to go through these a little bit. Common challenges in shipper conversations. Navigating through these objections are kind of critical for you to understand and recognize. When these objections come through, okay, how do I respond to these? And what we're going to do is show you a few objections, right? And then we're going to show you kind of what they mean, and then of course what is the response? What should our response be? So, we already use someone else, broker, right? This objection arises when shippers are already in a comfortable contract, right, with either a carrier or a broker, right, and not necessarily dissatisfied with what you're offering. They're just okay with what they have, right? We need a carrier with more trucks. I love this objection. This we hear all the time. This is really about that they're comfortable with their contract. They're not reflecting that they're dissatisfied with your offering. They're just saying that they're comfortable with where they're at, right? It does reflect loyalty. It does perceived convenience, right? So the next area here, we're looking for more experienced carriers, right? This, this, like it says here, this is all about trust. This is all about credibility. Making sure, of course, you have a website that you're credible. You're talking about what their needs are. Shippers do lean towards carriers that have these proven track records, right? Because in their head, it's like it's risk, right? They don't want somebody that's fresh out of school, taking their precious cargo, right? And there's worry there, right? So understanding that there is that type of worry. And then of course your rates are too high, right? That happens a lot. Some of us, like, I'm not doing this for $2.20 a mile. I'm not, but the reality of it is understanding, right, where your market's at. You need to understand the market. To start the conversation, whatever the market's at, even 10% above the market, right, these are all conversation starters. This doesn't mean this particular load is actually going to be that after you have that conversation, because this load might be heavier or might be more delicate or might require more insurance or have multiple stops. This all drives the price up, right? So making sure that you understand where you're at in regards to pricing is really, really important. Probably the single most important thing is knowing your pricing, especially when you have that conversation. Let me move on to the next page here. So some strategies for overcoming these objections, right? Building a personal connection, right? Highlighting the understanding of their unique needs and concerns. A lot of it is asking a question and then listening, right? Listening to what they say, having an engaging question, right? Try to understand their needs, okay? Demonstrating value, right? Focus on the unique benefit that you offer and go beyond what the current provider can offer, right? Every carrier that's in here, right? Everybody that's on this call here, every carrier is different. I've yet to meet a carrier that I've talked to that does the exact same thing. You guys all have a lot of unique things to offer, right? So you also want to make sure that you talk about that as you're having that conversation, right? The next area is, leverage flexibility, right? A lot of times being small is not a bad thing, right? You're typically more nimble than those larger operators, right? Those guys that, it's kind of like you're a speedboat and they're moving like the Titanic. So but also justifying your cost, right? Most of you here have grown your business because of your exceptional service, right? Nobody here is not taking care of their customers. The problem, the biggest problem for you, for everybody that's on here, is your visibility. They have no idea who you are, right? Highlight your experience, right? Your innovative solution. If you have the newest and greatest latest trucks, whatever niche that you're in, you can also talk about that niche if it's relevant to what they're shipping. So make sure you also highlight your expertise. And the last thing is preparation and empathy, right? Prepare yourself. Say to yourself, what do you think they would be their objection, right? Don't go into this without having thinking about their company and what they do. Do a little bit of research, right? Be prepared, because that preparation can gain you a customer really quickly, but it also can lose you a customer. So just make sure you're prepared. Awesome. That kind of wraps things up. Any other questions? I believe we do have another question here.
Yeah, we do have a question. Is it better to work with your platform as a carrier or get a broker license and start shipping with shippers? I can start as a carrier. Absolutely. Carriers don't need authority to reach out to shippers. So I wouldn't recommend anybody to start a brokerage first. I would recommend them to secure the business first, right? Secure the shippers, move it yourself. You all have friends. If you can't handle it, just tell your friends to move it for them in the meantime. Or you can just move it, ask your friends to move it in the meantime, and then start your brokerage. It doesn't take long to start brokerage. Set up your MC, brokerage MC, and just insurance fund. You're set to move freight. So it's a fast process, but I wouldn't recommend you to start brokerage first if you don't have one yet. Just start letting shippers first. Once you get a business, once you have a loads, everything else is just easy to set up.
But also on the flip side, if you're having capacity issues, is it bad to look at getting your brokerage license? No. Is it bad to say that I'm an asset-based broker? No. Now, if you're looking at this as investing in growing a business, right, that's a different strategy. But also, if you're marketing yourself as an asset-based broker, that speaks a lot to some direct shippers. Some direct shippers love the comfort of a broker. It just is, right? They just feel more comfortable. They feel like they have some magic sauce. These guys are going to do something different than a direct shipper could do, right? Or a carrier can do. But the other thing is, for the clients that want to deal directly with a carrier, you offer both, right? So you can have it where, you can use it as capacity builder for your current carrier, your current trucking company, and then if it gets to an issue, now you can resell it to trusted partners. And the other reason why brokers do like asset-based carriers, because they move loads. You guys understand exactly the frustration of a load not showing on time, or lack of communication, or lack of caring. Unfortunately, a lot of brokers these days, they don't care about anything but reselling loads, and all they're looking for is as much money as they can make. And that's a bad combination, right? That's a bad combination long term for the health of carriers, but also, to the health of their direct shippers. And Awesome says, I'm looking at that as an investment for long term. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth doing. There's nothing wrong with having a brokerage, right? It is a powerful message. So, but anybody who's looking to do this now, like Justin said, it's better to have business first and have a capacity issue than it is to start a brokerage and then have no income off of it, because the insurance on a brokerage can be very expensive. It's not a cheap ordeal, for that matter. Awesome. Any other questions?
All right. So some of you have already expressed interest in the platform. Let us know if you want to check out in full detail. We really glad you guys were able to join us today and listen to what we have to share when it comes to letting shippers, knocking on doors, cold calling, email marketing, etc. All different things we discussed. We cover something different every week. This concludes the seminar. If you guys have any question, feel free to ask us. And if not, we'll stay on for a couple more minutes and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And thank you guys for all those questions.
And also here, there's no bad questions, right? There's no stupid questions. You know, everybody here is looking to learn. Everybody here is trying to land a direct shipper. So it doesn't matter even if it's off topic. You know, if you have a question, by all means, let's have a conversation about it.